Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Radio Strong Style. Radio Strong Style is a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan podcast. This is a podcast for New Japan Pro Wrestling fans by New Japan Pro Wrestling fans. I am your host. My name is Disco Stu Suzuki, and we will be running down all of the news and headlines from the week, and we will give you an update on the Best of the Super Juniors tournament, nights 8, 9, and 10. But before we begin, I must now introduce my co-host, broadcasting from parts unknown, professional diss track ghostwriter, Tony Tiger Mask. Tony, how the hell are you?
I'm doing just fine this evening, Stu. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. I just, it's my Friday. I got off of my day job, got a bottle of whiskey in front of me, just got a ton of great New Japan action to talk about. So
I can yammer about some hot matches here.
Yeah, I'm gonna flap my gums about some New Japan. We are up on iTunes now, so please rate, review, subscribe. If you do give us a 5-star review, we will read it on the air, and I'll pour up a little whiskey, and we'll give you a strong style toast. Today's 5-star review comes to us from Tranquilo for Life, who says, I made a promise to myself back in January that I would be a better NJPW fan in 2018. Needless to say, I have failed miserably. Fortunately, Disco Stu and Tony Tiger Mask have got my back. In other words, this is my go-to pod for all things New Japan. Thanks, Disco Stu and Tony Tiger Mask. So, Tranquilo for Life, what we're going to pour for you now is Buffalo Trace Bourbon. So I'm going to throw myself a little shot of that. And Tranquilo for Life, thank you. We salute you. Two. Woo! Smooth, very smooth. All right, so let's get into some news and notes. First thing up, we have on Access TV, they have announced that they're going to be showing the G1 special live. So if you have Access TV, you can watch it and as it happens with JR and Josh Barnett calling the action. And they've also said that Okada, Kenny Omega, Naito, and Tanahashi. So they're saying the big four are going to be there, and I can't wait to see it. How do you feel about this, Tony?
Oh, I'm excited for it. I've been, I know you and I have both been to the last two U.S. shows, so this one, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it to, but I have access to Access TV, so I'm glad they're going to be streaming it there, and I'm, going to see the big stars, and it's going to be good, so I'm excited.
Yeah, so when they do these on Access TV Live, they don't show it live on NJPW World in America. They show it like the rest of the world. It'll be on a tape delay for NJPW World in the United States, maybe Canada as well. I'm not 100% sure. So, yeah, I like you said, we did go to the last two, and I'm not going to be able to get to this one. It doesn't look that way. I still keep looking at it. I keep checking the schedule, seeing maybe. You never know. I might make an unscheduled appearance.
Man, it is literally on the day of my son's birthday, and I'm not looking to get divorced, so I will be watching it on Access TV, and I'm very glad I can do so.
I have to be in a wedding 2 weeks later in San Francisco. So I was like, man, could that wedding be 2 weeks earlier? Could this be 2 weeks later? So it's like, do I want to run up there? Yeah, it's a lot of money to get the plane, get the hotel, all that. It's not just a drive. It's a long haul. Anyway, so that we'll move into some more Access news. Access TV is currently running a Okada marathon. So they're celebrating Okada's historic heavyweight title reign. They're showing when he won the belt and all 12 of the consecutive championship defenses that he's had. It's already started. It started on May 30th, and it'll be going through June 14th. And on June 14th, it'll be the primetime debut of Tanahashi versus Okada from Dontaku. And that'll be, all these are now called by JR and Josh Barnett, and they'll be on American TV. So you said you have Access TV, man. This would be great. I'd love to watch this whole run.
Oh yeah, I saw that. This was something that I saw, and this was the announcement that I saw that made sure that I had Access TV. And I wish that more companies and more promotions would do more type anthology, title reign promotional packages or marathons like this, you know, with they could do alternate commentary, just like this has the English commentary, but I mean, like, sit down with Okada and a translator and ask him questions about the matches and let them go through the opponents and things like that they could do throughout the marathon. I think could be really cool if they did more of these. So, I mean, this is going to be great just watching the matches straight through, but in the future, going forward, if this was something they wanted to expand on, they could take this in a lot of cool directions. So hopefully this is just the first of many, you know, cool projects to come like this.
Yeah, I do love showing the fans, like, yeah, this, you know, that's a historic run, and like you said, getting that historic perspective. Unfortunately, marathon won't be over by the time we get to Dominion. So Dominion will happen, and then you'll still have like 3 or 4 more of these matches to see in this marathon. So we don't know. There might be one more title defense they need to add on to the end of this one, or it might be that was the last one that they're going to show on the 15th. But yeah,
kids.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have Access TV, that's, you know, or now's the time to get it, or now's the time to watch it. And so moving to the next item, on NJPW World, we have I'd like to call it the NJPW World Alert. We'll let you know when some cool stuff drops on there. And they just dropped all of the Ring of Honor, New Japan, War of the Worlds tour. I looked at a little bit, like there was a Cody versus Jushin Thunder Liger match on there. So I watched a little bit of that, but we've been busy watching the Best of the Super Juniors, so I haven't had a lot of time to jump into that. But that's brand new. It's actually up on the splash page when you just log into NJPW World. Those little boxes that scroll by at the top. One of them will say War of the Worlds. And if you don't have Honor Club, or you're not familiar with Ring of Honor, or you know, you're just a NJPW World subscriber, that's something you should probably check out. So we'll just move on, and we've got a couple things. So a new episode of Being the Elite has dropped, and just a couple of notes from that. Cody was specifically asked in the episode if All In was going to be streaming, and that's been a question that everyone's had since they sold out. I was like, is there going to be a streaming option? How are other people going to be able to watch this? And they've been very coy about it. They're not telling anybody if it's going to be streaming yet. And basically, Cody just sidesteps the question. He doesn't answer it. So they're still teasing it. I think it's obvious they're going to have to stream it. I mean, you'd be leaving way too much money on the table, or at least do like like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla does, and either, you know, put the download up a couple days later, or sell just the DVD like a month later, whatever it is. But there's no way they're not going to let people see this show. And then in that same Being the Elite episode, you finally get some footage from Kenny, and he cuts a promo on Okada, basically telling Okada that Okada is the best wrestler in the world, but that, you know, Omega's still going to beat him for the world championship. And then he does basically like a little workout video, and he's looking jacked. Like he's looking like full heavyweight Kenny Omega. Like he's ready. He's looking ready. Did you get a chance to see this episode of Being the Elite, Tony?
No, I haven't, but I'm going to run right out after this and check it out. So.
Oh yeah, just for the Kenny part, because, you know, they're not. I don't think they're doing any Road to Dominion shows. I think basically it's going to go right from the finals, you know, 5 days later, right into Dominion. So we might probably get some Dominion action on the finals, on the June 4th finals of the Best of the Super Juniors. But yeah, it's a pretty good little episode. And then we'll go into our final little news item, and this is kind of tangentially connected to New Japan. This is from CMLL. Ray Phoenix, known as Phoenix in Lucha Underground, used to work for AAA. Not 100% sure. He seems to be mostly independent these days. He's kind of working with AAA. He's kind of working with Impact. He's been, you know, PWG, all over the indies in America with his brother Pentagon Jr., also Penta El Zero Miedo, and currently Pentagon Dark on Lucha Underground. But basically, Ray Phoenix is officially going to CMLL, and that's the biggest company in Mexico. I believe the oldest wrestling company on the planet currently. And this is a big, so, you know, as a New Japan fan, you're probably like, why do I care that this luchador is going to some other Mexican wrestling company? CMLL has a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's where they send the young lions to go learn. Like, that's where Hiromu went, and he was Kamatachi, and he came back, and then he joined LIJ. So if Ray Phoenix is working for CMLL, that means that there's a possibility now that he can come work for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And also, Pentagon has strongly implied that he'll be joining Phoenix and CMLL. So it's just, these are just small ripples. They haven't moved up to waves yet, but there is the possibility we could get two of these, basically two of the top luchadors in the world, in Pentagon and Phoenix, coming over to New Japan. How would you feel about seeing these two guys in New Japan, Tony?
I would absolutely love it, especially Pentagon, man. I think Pentagon is a badass dude, man. So I would love to see him anywhere. So for him to come to New Japan, that just, we talked about it last week with the Johnny Mundo Impact Morrison signing, or rumors about him coming over. Like, there's a lot of potential matches for any new top star to come into New Japan, and Pentagon's a top guy and Phoenix is a top guy. So there's a lot of interesting possibilities. So hopefully something comes of it,
Yeah, and a lot of people have been looking, because, with Lucha Underground, that had like a lot, not so much this year, but when it first came up, there was like a lot of like buzz about it in the indie scene in America. And so a lot of people were like, man, why can't these guys get over to New Japan? Like, we would love to see some of these guys over there. And there was always that issue of like, hey, if you're working for AAA, we deal with CMLL, so you can't come over. But being able to see any of these guys over there would really be amazing. And I mean, Pentagon Jr. currently probably one of my top 3 or 4 guys working worldwide right now. I mean, he's just a really good, amazing.
He's the Impact World Champion right now too.
Oh, is he? Okay, awesome. And still current Lucha Underground champion. So I don't know how that. See, I don't ever look at the spoilers for the season because it's already all been filmed. But he's gonna start off as a champion at least. Anyway, so that's the news. So now we'll move into our Best of the Super Juniors coverage, and our Best of the Super Juniors coverage is brought to you by our good friends at the Paper Asylum. If you love comics, collectibles, and everything in between, make sure you visit the Paper Asylum shop in Beverly, Massachusetts today, or go to their site, paperasylumshop.com. So we'll start with the Best of the Super Juniors 25 Night 8. This was Sunday, May 27th, the Nagoya Congress Center Event Hall. It's a B block action. So we'll start with match 5. That was the first block match of the night, and that had Marty Scurll beating El Desperado in 14 minutes and 40 seconds with the chicken wing submission. So basically in this match, you had a lot of Marty selling the knee, and he was selling the knee pretty well. Then in the middle, towards the end of the match, he just starts doing a couple moves that he really probably shouldn't even be able to do with the damaged knee. Like, he even did the double knee stomp thing to Desperado, and I'm like, how is he doing that move when he's selling his own bad knee? And did anything stand out to you in this match, Tony?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned about Scurll selling the knee, because I noticed that before he would do a few of those big moves, he would take that second. There was a big dive spot to the outside where he, kind of took that minute to kind of hobble on that knee or check it, or, give it a punch with his, whatever fist or something. It's something you see a lot. I noticed in New Japan is those guys, they definitely take that extra minute, even if they're going to do a big move that might be they're sacrificing, but they know they're using that hurt limb or hurt body part or whatever that's been worked over, and the commentary draws attention to that. So it does build to the story in the matches a lot. So I kind of like that here a couple of times there.
Okay, so I liked a lot of him selling the knee. I thought there was a lot of it where it was really effective, and I'm like, okay, he's selling the knee, he's doing a real good job of selling the knee. And then just towards the end, like, there was just like, I don't know, did he get a shot of adrenaline? I don't know, but suddenly he was doing a couple of moves where it was like, I mean, these are leg-based moves. Like, you're doing stuff where maybe it shouldn't work. But so just a minor quibble. I thought it was a good match. I did like towards the end of the match where Desperado went for a nut shot, and then Marty countered it into the finger break, like a real fast finger break. And then that's the very end of the match, and he goes into the chicken wing and gets the win. I mean, overall, I liked the match a lot. I've been really impressed with Desperado this tournament, and Marty's been doing a good job. Like you said, he's like kind of an all around villain. Like, he can do the comedy, he can do the mean stuff. I even like his kind of high spots that aren't really high spots. Like, it looks like he's gonna go dive up to the outside of the ring, but he just jumps over the apron and kicks you in the head. He will do a couple of like high spots,
yeah.
but he's not like killing himself, which I also enjoy that, seeing somebody working a smart style. So
yeah, I got a couple of costume and things here. I noticed. Like, I'm wondering how much all that stuff that Marty Scurll wears to the ring every time weighs. Like, that's got to be an extra, 15, 20 pounds of gear between the mask and the coat and every other thing. And then Desperado's mask is kind of like the Marty Scurll of wrestling masks. Like, it's got fringe, it's got wings, it's got, different colors. It's the Marty Scurll of wrestling masks.
Excellent. So now with this win, Marty beats El Desperado, and that puts both guys at 2 wins, 2 losses, and they both have 4 points apiece. So we'll move on to the next match, match 6. This is the second block match of the night. Chris Sabin beats Dragon Lee in 13 minutes, 39 seconds with the Cradle Shock. Just some things I noticed in this. Dragon Lee, he comes out with the new red Shibata towel they've been selling over there in New Japan. I like that, giving a shot. I don't know if he's personally friends with Shibata or he was just a fan. I don't know too much. I don't think they've had too many interactions that I've ever noticed. And this thing just starts out with a lot of like just technical wrestling at the beginning of the match. But to be honest, Chris Sabin just isn't doing it for me in this tournament. I like him in Motor City Machine Guns. I've liked him as a singles wrestler, but just to me, he's kind of a non-starter in this tournament. So how did you feel about this match, Tony?
I thought this was probably Sabin's best match so far, but he's also going in there with Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee comes out and he sits down in the middle of the ring, and I was kind of like, who's this guy think he is? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm leading this thing right now. So, but it was good back and forth at the start, but Sabin got the big win at the end. I was actually really surprised because I thought Sabin would pick up wins over the middle of the pack guys, but Dragon Lee was in the lead. So to see Sabin get the win over him was building some steam going into these final nights. So we'll see where he takes that.
Seeing Chris Sabin get the win over Dragon Lee, and I'm like really hot on Dragon Lee. I was like, Dragon Lee's one of my favorite guys. I think he's one of the best performers in the tournament so far. And to see him get the win over Dragon Lee was very surprising. The crowd was into it a little bit. I think they're more into Dragon Lee than Chris Sabin, but it's one. I mean, he's doing all right. I'm not going to say he's doing bad. He's just not clicking for me personally. So now we'll move on to match 7. This is the third block match of the night, which had Kushida defeating Sho in 19 minutes and 24 seconds with the Back to the Future. Now, this is a very, to me at least, like a technical, almost like a MMA style match. They were just basically ground-based, a lot of like just chain wrestling on the ground. And Kushida kept doing this move, which I really liked. I don't think I've seen it a lot, where he would just come up and then he would just jump on him and like scissor his legs around him. And I thought it was an excellent, I don't know what you call that, but it looked awesome. I mean, it seemed like a really smart move, especially in this kind of technical, kind of ground-based match. And that was basically the whole match. It was a lot of that, not a lot of the high-flying action like you get in some of the other matches. But to me, like, Sho looked like $1 million in this match. I really thought he looked like the next superstar of the division. And then at the very end, you get just a ton of sportsmanship. Like, these dudes are doing like the deep, like, kneeling on the ground, like bowing their heads all the way to the mat to each other. Just a great match. Definitely one of my favorite matches of the night, or of the tournament so far. What did you think of this one, Tony?
I thought it was a great match as well. I thought Sho had some great counters and was really, for somebody who's only, this is one of his first forays into the singles ranks. He was hanging with Kushida, keeping up with him counter for counter and getting out of him. I like Kushida going for all kinds of different submissions and different moves like that. It reminds me a lot of MMA, where you don't, so many times in wrestling, the guy that has a submission finish, so they just spend their whole match just trying to get that, half-ass armbar that, is unbelievable, but Kushida here was going for one submission, going for another submission, trying, transitioning. It, like you said, reminded me of kind of an MMA match, and there was a spot that was a really nice Kushida shot for a double leg, kind of not a collegiate double leg, but a nice double leg that he got him got Sho into a full mount, which led to an exchange, which in that trading of holds, they pop back up and then we're running the ropes and doing some more of the faster paced action. So I just thought, that's a way to incorporate that, maybe not so much MMA, but that catch as catch can wrestling, hold for hold into that cruiserweight junior action, in that transition. There was that one spot in that double leg takedown was really nice to get back into that. So I like it when matches have that feel to it. It just gives it that air of realism, that they're trying to use their skills to best the next guy. They're not just hitting moves.
Yeah, and I also appreciated that he went with the Back to the Future for the pin instead of going for like a tap out. So like it still was the MMA style, but they definitely brought it back to like a wrestling match, and it wasn't just specifically like, oh, look, we can just do submissions.
Well, but then too, it leads to where, no, you were susceptible to my finishing maneuver because I wore you down with all these submissions and all these. You didn't have your wind. You were out of position. Your neck was whatever the story is. But yeah, I think it's great when they have that air and those finishes like that. So it was good, real good.
Yeah. And so that left both Kushida and Sho with 2 wins, 2 losses apiece. So they both had 4 points. And now we'll move on to match 8. This was the main event of night 8, and that had Hiromu defeating Taguchi in 14 minutes and 49 seconds with the move he calls D, which is a triangle choke, and he got the tap out. So this had a lot of brawling in the crowd. They were like all up in the crowd in this one.
Man, have we seen a match not brawl into the crowd yet? Like every one of these matches brawls into the crowd. Like, and for me, I even had a note later on that it's getting to be a little much with this brawling in the crowd. Like, I'm all for the no barricades because they're going to dive and all that kind of stuff. But, man, it's like formulaic every match. It's like they start off, they brawl in the crowd, they get back in the ring. This count out is non-existent.
Yeah, they, like you said, there has been a lot of like in the crowd action. You're definitely right about that. I mean, but these guys, they got like deep. Like, so there's some that are just like, oh, a little bit in the crowd, and a lot. And these dudes were deep in the crowd. And one of my favorite, they were brawling, and one of my favorite spots was Taguchi puts Hiromu against the wall, and then he like runs like all the way to the other end of the venue, and then he comes just a full head of steam running like across the entire building to deliver a lariat, and Hiromu gets out of the way. Taguchi just like lariats right into the wall behind him, and I thought that was a funny little spot. And we had a count out tease after that. It was a pretty fun match. I mean, I thought Taguchi looked really good in this match. Like, he actually was like, oh wait, Taguchi's a serious wrestler sometimes.
I was super impressed with Taguchi in this, and you need these type of brawl matches in these tournaments because it shows you what a good worker he is, that he can hang with a Hiromu and make Hiromu hang. It shows you what a good worker that Taguchi is, that he can hang with a guy like Hiromu in a match like this, and it's an entertaining brawl that isn't, it's not a 5-star classic, but I was entertained throughout the whole match and thought it was really, really good. So.
Yeah, like you said, he looked great. He actually looked like a legitimate contender. He was diving to the outside multiple times, and he still hit his little like comedy spots. Like, he did his Nakamura tribute spot. And then when he beat Kushida too, that just shows you now that he's actually a pretty good wrestler. He can go. So him beating Kushida is not so far fetched. If he caught him in a hold, Taguchi knows some holds. Yeah, and Taguchi, he's basically settled into that like mid card comedy spot. But I like it when he remembers, like, oh yeah, I can actually go, and I need to put on a performance here. So, all in all, like a great, I'm not going to say great, but an entertaining match. Taguchi looked good.
I tell you what, you want to be entertained, you should watch the timekeeper during a Taguchi Hiromu submission spot, because that guy was holding that hammer up, and he was clenched, ready. He was not sure who was giving up.
Nice. Anyway, so that was night 8, and now we'll move on to night 9. This was Tuesday, May 29th, Tochigi City Athletic Park Gymnasium. This is A block action. So we start with match 5. This is the first block match of the night that had Taiji Ishimori defeating Tiger Mask in 11 minutes, 18 seconds with the bloody cross for the pin. Tiger Mask was doing his Tiger Mask thing, man, delivering the stiff kicks. There's the spot in the match where Tiger Mask literally just pip slaps Ishimori in the face. And basically, so now we know exactly what a bloody cross is. A bloody cross is it's a lifting single underhook double knee gut buster. So that's the move where it looks like he's going to do like a spike DDT, but instead he drops back onto his back and lifts both knees up into the double knee gut buster. What did you think of this match, Tony?
I just thought this was a good, solid match, and it's just exactly the kind of hard-hitting, competitive match you expect from a tournament of this repute. Just two guys going out there and having a good, solid match, trying to get a win. I thought Ishimori just disrespected the Tiger Mask jacket at the beginning, and that's just uncalled for. Yeah,
I 100% agree. He when he disrespected that jacket, I'm like, that jacket's too pretty. You can't treat it like that.
No, it's fabulous. It's you mentioned it before on a previous episode, the Tiger Mask music, and I'm like hearing that music. I picture him. He's like a Japanese wrestling cowboy riding a steed across some desert, with that music playing. He's got that jacket on, the furs flying in the wind. Like, it's awesome, man. Ishimori just is throwing it around and it's just disrespectful.
Yeah, that was the biggest heel move of the match, man. Just throwing that jacket around. So the match basically ends with you got two moves. There's a tombstone, basically when Ishimori grabs Tiger Mask into like a tombstone position, but again it drops back into like the double knee, like a gut buster, I guess, a reverse gut buster. I don't know what you call that one. And then he picks it. Then you get a 2 count off of that. Then they come back up and he gets the bloody cross for the 1, 2, 3, and then that leaves both Ishimori and Tiger Mask with 3 wins, 2 losses, 6 points apiece. And we'll move right on into match 6. This is the second block match of the night that had Bushi defeating ACH in 11 minutes, 57 seconds with the MX. Some of the things I noted in this, ACH still selling the arm. That's his story the whole tournament. I expect to see it on the last 3 nights. But the whole match is Bushi attacking the arm, but ACH just gets this one huge chop in on Bushi and like just drops Bushi to the ground. That's just really the big thing that stood out to me. I mean, I thought it was a good match. ACH has really impressed me. I hope he gets a full-time spot in New Japan. I really do. I think he's great. What did you think of this match, Tony?
Again, another solid tournament match. Bushi got another 2 points, which is cool, so he bumps up. And I guess the strangulation by T-shirt is only a 5 count in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that was interesting to learn. But, Bushi was trying to be sporting at the beginning of the match, and ACH slapped his hand away, so...
Both guys are 2 wins, 3 losses, so they're 4 points apiece. I'm happy to see Bushi get an extra win because I hadn't pegged to win the whole thing. So hopefully he can pull out a miracle, and I won't be looking like an idiot on the last night. But we'll move on to match 7. That's the third block match of the night, and that had Yo defeating Flip Gordon in 11 minutes, 6 seconds with the 5-star clutch. And the 5-star clutch is a double wrist clutch, a flip into a bridging cradle pin. So try saying that 5 times fast. But basically, I'm going to need your help on this one, Tony, because to me right now when I'm looking at Yo and I'm looking at Flip Gordon, to me it's just a case of 2 guys who are still kind of missing that crucial last ingredient. I mean, Flip Gordon, 3 years in the game, for 3 years in the game, amazing, like where he's at. But I don't think he's just quite there yet. I mean, maybe a little more experience is what he needs. I mean, at 3 years, being that good, that's great. But being at this level, that's at the Super Juniors level, to me, he's just missing that one thing. And then to me, Yo, I know you're a Yo guy. I know you enjoy Yo. But to me, I just want him to have a gimmick that he can sink his teeth into. I mean, I don't think. Oh, look at the inside of my jacket and my fringe on my leg. I don't think that's the gimmick. I mean, I think once this guy gets a gimmick that he can really get into, that he'll be unstoppable. But right now, I'm just thinking I don't know. When he's with the rest of Roppongi 3K, I feel him. But on his own right now, I'm not 100% feeling him. So I mean, what did you feel about this match?
I think that's true. I think you're right. I think the thing with Flip is just experience, and he's surrounded with good performers. The Bucks, he hangs with the Bucks and Cody, and he's involved in all that, and those guys are all great. So he's going to get that iron sharpening iron, the whole cliche or catchphrase, whatever you want to call it. He's going to get all the benefit of that. And then you're right about Yo needing a gimmick to sink his teeth into. And Roppongi 3K is a good tag team, and they're both good in that tag team. But I feel like Yo is really good at selling, man. He can really sell and really get that sympathy, but he doesn't have that that character that he's got to find it outside of just being able to sell and take an ass whipping, And then because Show is really kind of impressing me maybe a little bit more with this. He's maybe gotten a little bit more in some of these matches, but he's got some really good ability, man, and some really good power moves and things like that. So he's kind of defining himself and stepping out with his just ability, even though I think Yo's selling is a little bit better. But like I said, he's got to find that next step beyond just taking an ass kicking. There was a nice move here where Yo did that skin the cat that they usually do over the top rope, but he did it from the bottom rope through the ropes. That was sweet. And then there was a really nice forearm exchange that they were exchanging forearms and back and forth, and it ended up into some running forearms. That was really, I thought, was a good spot. But yeah, man, you're right about both of these guys with this one. So I have to agree.
And that skin the cat move, they usually do that. He does that. I've seen it a couple times in the tournament, and it's usually like in a big sequence where it's kind of they're bouncing off the ropes, and it looks like he's just going to dump out, over the bottom rope, and then it's an impressive looking move. I do enjoy it, but we'll get more into Yo and Show a little bit later. We will. So basically, this match leaves us with Flip Gordon. He's sitting at 3 wins, 2 losses, which gives him 6 points. Yo is at 2 wins, 3 losses, which gives him 4 points. And that takes us on to match 8. This is the main event of night 9. Will Ospreay defeats Kanemaru in 14 minutes and 3 seconds with the Stormbreaker.
Typical punk-ass Suzuki gun before the bell, jumping in there. These guys, man. Somebody's got to teach these guys a lesson.
Hey man, if you're wrestling Suzuki gun, you better watch your back, man. You got to check your neck because they're coming for it. You can't wait for there's no sportsmanship at the beginning of the match.
I'm surprised he let Will Ospreay get the belts, the jacket, everything. I'm surprised he let him get all that off before he jumped him.
So we start off Ospreay. So he comes out and he's got like this hood on. And kind of a felted looking fabric, velvet maybe, and just a giant furry W on the back is not good looking.
Was that a W?
I believe so. W?
I thought it was supposed to be like clipped wings or something. I was trying to figure out what it was. I wasn't sure.
I mean, that's the way I read it. I could be completely wrong, but it looked like it just looked bad. I mean, whatever it was, it didn't look good. Ospreay's been selling the neck the whole tournament. He continues to sell the neck.
He went Spirit Halloween shopping with Evil and Skrull before the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it looked like Roadkill or something, man. It did not look good. But so he's selling the neck, and Ospreay's screaming is becoming unbearable. I mean, if I see Ospreay once a month, maybe even once every 2 weeks, it's okay. But when you see this many matches in this short a period of time, it's just getting worse and worse as the tournament goes along. I can't listen to it anymore. We had multiple count-out teases. Like we've had approximately 50 count-out teases in this tournament. I don't know if that's an exact number, but a ton of them. There better be a count-out loss.
At what point are we still respecting the stipulation here? Because these count-out teases are just so arbitrary. I get that it's pro wrestling, but we're lauding these guys for protecting these stipulations, and we're getting a count-out tease, 3, 4, 5 of them every time.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting multiple. At least 2 in this match. And I'm convinced on the last night, someone's got to lose by a count out. You just have to do it. You can't tease it this many times in the tournament and not do it. But they haven't done it yet. So, we're on night 9. They haven't done it yet. And let's see, what else did I have written down here? Okay, so we had a lone fan desperately trying to get some Western wrestling chant started. You had one guy trying to do the, like, Ospreay, 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 Ospreay. Couldn't get nothing going. I felt bad for the dude. He sounded like he was Japanese. Didn't sound like some American had gone over there and tried to get shit going. But I give him an A for effort, man. The dude was trying the whole time. Towards the end of the match, you get a pretty good sequence. Ospreay goes for the Stormbreaker. Kanemaru gets out. In the process, the ref bumps, so the ref is down. Then Kanemaru gets a nut shot. Kanemaru goes and grabs a chair. And then Ospreay and Kanemaru fighting over the chair. The ref finally wakes up, breaks up the chair fight, and the ref's fighting for the chair. Kanemaru goes and grabs his bottle of whiskey, goes for the Suntory surprise. But right before he can do it, Ospreay just comes up and puts his hand over Kanemaru's mouth to block the mist. And then he super kicks the whiskey right out of Kanemaru's mouth. So I thought that was a great little back and forth exchange there. And then Kanemaru hits his finisher. He hits the deep impact. It only gets a 2 count. I did not like that. That wasn't good to me, man. I mean, this is the guy's finisher. Try to protect it. I know he's the champ.
Ospreay's the champ, yeah.
But Kanemaru's been putting dudes out, man. Every time he said it in this tournament, it's been 1, 2, 3. So I mean, I've been digging on Kanemaru this tournament. So maybe I was just a little upset that he didn't get the win with it. But what are you gonna do? And then Kanemaru towards the end, he jumps from the top. Kanemaru jumps from the top turnbuckle, and then gets right into a kick in the head. Not I wouldn't call it a super kick, but he got kicked right in the head. And then Ospreay hits the Stormbreaker, and Ospreay wins. What did you think of this one, Tony?
I just thought that you need these more brawler types like Kanemaru to really showcase how dynamic these flyers are, especially in a match with a guy like Ospreay. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought, Kanemaru put up a good fight, gave Ospreay everything he had.
So the one thing I will say about Ospreay, having seen this many matches in a row in this short amount of time, like I said, the screaming is almost becoming a deal breaker for me. Like by the finals, I'm going to be just hating Ospreay. I'm going to be hoping somebody just kicks the shit out of him. But I just think he could be just a touch more subtle. Just dial it back. I mean, if you're going 100, dial it back to 90, 85. Just lay off the gas just a little bit. Just feather it. You'll be fine. And that leaves Ospreay at 3 wins, 2 losses for 6 points. Kanemaru at Kanemaru at 2 wins, 3 losses for 4 points. And that brings us over to night 10. This was Wednesday, May 30th at the Big Palette in Fukushima. This is B block action. So we will start with match 5. This is the first block match of the night. This had Marty Scurll defeating Dragon Lee in 16 minutes, 1 second with the chicken wing. I thought this was a pretty good match. I enjoyed both these performers. I think they're both at the top of the tournament. They're probably 2 of the better guys in the tournament. Stuff that did happen in there. Marty tied Dragon Lee's mask to the bottom rope. I thought that was a brilliant little move. Then later on, Marty goes for the fingers to do the finger break, but then Dragon counters with a headbutt right to Marty's gut. I thought that was a great counter to the finger break. And then Dragon Lee, he does the sleeper hold. He puts Marty in the sleeper hold, and then he drops him down into the seating position and goes for the penalty kick. Basically goes for Shibata's finisher. As a homage to Shibata, he even yelled out Shibata-san while he was going for the move, which I as a Shibata fan, the night before Dragon Lee actually came out with the Shibata towel, and seeing him actually do the move in this and at this spot was great. What kind of stuff was jumping out to you, Tony?
Just these guys were just going back and forth the whole match, man, I kind of got lost in just sort of watching it and kind of forgot to take notes the whole time, other than just Marty Scurll would be screwed if he was in MMA because there's no small joint manipulation. So I got sucked into it, man. So I honestly just thought it was great and was just enjoying myself. I've just been impressed with Dragon Lee. This is probably the most I've been exposed to him this tournament, and he's just really... Man, he's amazing, and I like Scurll. I've been a fan of Scurll's for a long time, but he's taken it up a notch in this tournament. But Dragon Lee's just blown me away. So I was just kind of watching it, amazed.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's top of the line worldwide. I mean, New Japan should be trying to poach this guy from CMLL. I mean, I'm surprised WWE is not.
WWE should be poaching. Yeah, anybody should. Anybody who's serious about this guy's a top flight guy right here, man.
I did like right before that the sleeper into the Shibata penalty kick. There was a spot where they were both bouncing off the ropes like after each other, and Dragon Lee basically hit a rope assisted German suplex when Marty was bouncing off the rope, and then immediately Marty hits a rope assisted lariat to Dragon Lee. Later on, Dragon Lee hits the Del Rio double foot stomp into the guy hanging onto the corner, and Marty gets the chicken wing to win, and it was just a great match all together. So that leaves both guys at 3 wins, 2 losses, 6 points each. All right, so we'll move on to match 6. This is the second block match of the night, and that had Taguchi defeating Sho in 13 minutes and 8 seconds they had a name on NJPW1972.com, and I did not write it down, but I couldn't find it anywhere on the internet. So I'll just describe what the move is. It's a half Nelson bridging suplex for a pin. I can't remember what they called the move, but that's what the move was. The beginning of the whole match was basically just a comedy spot. This is all Funky Weapon comedy. Everything was Taguchi trying to hit the Funky Weapon or teasing the Funky Weapon. Even Sho goes to kick. He actually kicks the Funky Weapon. He kicks him right in the butt, and it hurts Sho's leg.
How dare he?
I thought it was a funny spot, though. When he starts selling the leg, I'm like, that's pretty good.
I'm surprised he didn't break his foot.
Exactly. And then Sho, as part of his new gimmick, is his finisher is called the Shock Arrow. So he does like a kind of move where he's pulling back an arrow and letting an arrow fly. So they did this whole like kind of spot where Sho is firing invisible arrows at Taguchi. And then Taguchi, he misses all of them. He's just dodging everyone like he's Neo in the Matrix. Yeah, but the last invisible arrow hits Taguchi in the Funky Weapon, and he sells the Funky Weapon. So I don't know how the hell that worked. It was funny. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I enjoyed it. So basically, they start. You get to the end of the match, they start going for all the near falls. Sho, he's calling for the Shock Arrow. He almost gets the Shock Arrow applied. Taguchi slips out, and then Taguchi ends up getting that half Nelson bridging suplex for the win. Anything stand out to you on this one, Tony?
Just I thought there was some good spots where Sho was showing some dominance. There's some good spots for him to kind of take his offense and kind of give Taguchi a good beatdown, especially after this. We were just saying he had that totally entertaining competitive match with Hiromu, and he's beat Kushida. So I thought it was a good little bit of storytelling throughout the tournament. Like, here's Taguchi he's got a win over, a guy like Kushida who's a top flight guy, and then he stayed competitive with Hiromu and had a good, even though it was entertaining comedy match, there was still a good match. And here's Sho, this young guy who's getting some good offense in on a workhorse like Taguchi. So that was a good thing for him. I thought he did a nice little taunt. He was grinding his elbow into the abdomen of Taguchi. He was doing the 3K taunt. I thought that was cool. There was a little suplex spot where Sho was throwing. Like I said, he really impressed me in this match. He did some good work. He did like 3 German suplexes in a row, but there wasn't a lot of height on him. They were just kind of just getting back on the suplex. And for me, I kind of think maybe Brock Lesnar and some of that's kind of killed multiple suplex spots for me. You used to get the Benoit angle with the rolling Germans. They kept the hands locked, and Eddie Guerrero had the 3 Amigos suplexes, and those were always cool. But I think Lesnar with the whole suplex city, and that's kind of just become his MO in every single match, is just German suplex, overhead throw. That sometimes it doesn't look as, we've seen it so many times that it doesn't look as impressive when a guy like Show is, a little smaller guy slamming people down, and you don't really, can't think of anybody that's that suplex expert, Taz, that suplex master anymore. So that was a nice spot, but I kind of was like, suplexes are kind of dumb for me, and I was surprised that Taguchi won. So Taguchi's catching fire.
Yeah, sure is. So Wikipedia has that listed as Taguchi actually as the 3 Amigos spot. Like, he's doing the 3 Amigos spot when he starts doing the multiple suplex, and then Show just like it was. When I wrote down my notes, I just wrote it down as like dueling 3 Amigos, because it was like, he did the 3 Amigos, and then he tried it. He got 2 of them, and then Show went for got the 3 of them. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun little match. I was kind of surprised that Taguchi got the win there, but we'll move on. So we'll see where the points are. So this leaves both guys at 2 wins, 3 losses, so they both have 4 points apiece. And that'll move us into match 7, the third block match of the night. That had Hiromu defeating Chris Sabin in 13 minutes, 35 seconds with the D, his triangle choke move for the tap out. At the beginning, there was a handshake spot where they're like shaking hands, but then the Hiromu wouldn't let go, and they're like, it didn't really play to me that much. I mean, it was a comedy spot, but
I loved it. I thought it was great. I popped for this match right from that beginning. I was like, oh man, that's awesome.
What I always loved was the first time, or one of the first times Nakamura was in Ring of Honor with the ROH NJPW joint shows. Nakamura like acted like he had no idea what the code of honor was. Like, when they started shaking hands, he didn't know what it was, so he just started shaking everyone's hand. He shook his partner's hand, he shook the ref's hand, and like they did. Like, I thought, to me that was like the height of the shaking hands, the bits. But to me, this one didn't play that well. But you liked it, so that's good. Somebody liked it. But like I said already, I probably already said it when we talked about Sabin earlier. But Sabin's just not doing it for me. And in this whole night, wait, was this no? We're already in night 10. So night 9, the night 9 was like the one with the dead crowd. I don't know. Sabin's just not doing it for me, man. I got almost nothing. They were teasing sunset power bombs at the outside. They ended up with a power bomb to the apron. I don't know. Just all I have in my notes is that Sabin can't handle the D. So take that as you will. But to me,
Sabin's from the D. What you talking about?
Yeah.
What you talking about? Can't handle the D.
But
you say that to his face.
I will call him Mr. Sabin to his face. But when I'm talking about him in New Japan, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and blow smoke up his ass. It's just
you're right. Though the only thing I have here is at least the strikes looked pretty crisp against each other. They were pretty quick getting in there, and they had some oomph behind them. So that was the only thing I had. And Hiromu picked up another win, man.
I will note that there were some Sabin chants, or not. I won't say Sabin chants, but you have those like usually like members of the audience just will scream out somebody's name. So like it'll be like it might be a dude. Usually it's a chick. You'll definitely hear it when it's a woman. It'll be like a high pitched like Hiromu or some guy just yelling Sabin, and so like I was like, okay, some of the crowd's behind him. They're yelling Sabin. That's good. That's a good sign. I mean, personally not doing it for me, but he's in there with Hiromu, and Hiromu's probably the most popular guy in the tournament.
The other thing I liked is that this match stayed mostly in the ring, Yeah. And like with the brawling we talked about a little bit earlier, I understand these guys. I'm not trying to say, they should just keep it in the ring. I understand they're going to dive and all of that stuff, but like, I also feel like this is still supposed to be competitive sporting aspect here. Like, you have to stay in the bounds of the competition, and like they could have just as much high flying action within the ring. I understand it. is a little bit more, but like you can build that same drama within the ring. You know, you don't always have to take it to the outside and do all those brawling spots. So I did actually like it. Thought it was a little refreshing that they just kind of were mostly in the ring for this match.
Yeah, so this match, we end with Saban having 2 wins and 3 losses, so he has 4 points. And Hiromu with 3 wins and 2 losses, so he has 6 points. And that'll take us into match 8. This will be the main event for this night of this B-block action. And that had Kushida defeating El Desperado in 18 minutes, 33 seconds with the Back to the Future. So I just really enjoy this match. I mean, Kushida's great. Desperado has really been growing on me. There's just something I want to address, and because I just found out about it today. I mean, I just realized it. I didn't know it. I've been watching Desperado since he came back to New Japan in 2014. I did not know Desperado before he left. I didn't know him when he was any other name or any other gimmick. But as far as I know, El Desperado is a Japanese person. He's a Japanese man. He's a Japanese wrestler, and he wrestles under a mask. He calls himself El Desperado. Speaks perfect Japanese. He is a kayfabe Mexican. In kayfabe, he is a Mexican, and the story is that his father is Japanese, so that's why he can speak Japanese. If you follow him on Instagram, which I recommend, you can watch him eat horse meat. His name is Jose El Desperado on Instagram. So, because he has a new shirt, and the new shirt is a Hecho en Mexico shirt. If you're from California or you're around a large Mexican population, you might have seen this shirt. It's kind of like a stylized eagle's head, and it says Hecho en Mexico. It means made in Mexico. And so he's been wearing this shirt, and it's his brand new shirt. And on the back, it has a little tiny like ingredients, like a label like you'd see on the side of food, like your cereal or whatever, like your percentage of your daily nutritional value. And I'm like, why is he wearing this shirt? He's Japanese. Is it because he was trained in Japan, or is he because he was trained in Mexico? I don't know. But no, he's kayfabe Mexican, so he's kayfabe Hecho in Mexico. I mean, how does this truth bomb strike you, Tony?
I just picked myself up off the floor. I can't believe it. I'm shocked. I'm shocked and amazed. It's a revelation.
Yeah, I mean, it just blew my mind. It really blew my mind. I'm like, do people buy this? Are people in Japan going, yeah, this guy's Mexican, man? They bought it. I mean, he's tan. You never know. He never takes the mask off. He could be Mexican. Anyway, so you want to talk about brawling in the crowd? They went next level brawling in the crowd.
Of course they did. Desperado and his underhanded tactics with the chairs. Punk ass Suzuki gun again. Here we go.
Yes. Desperado loves a chair. He never met a chair he didn't like. But they get out into just the ringside crowd, and Desperado starts searching. He starts getting underneath the ring, looking for weapons. And he pulls out like a hand truck, a hand cart. I mean, what would you call this, Tony? A hand cart?
A cart, yeah. A cart.
So like a cart, like you would like stack boxes on it. There are probably pieces of the ring. They probably had to haul the ring out with this thing and then put it together. And he pulls up this little cart and he puts Kushida on the cart, and then he just starts ramming him into like just clearing out the crowd and just starts ramming him into every seat.
He must have ran him through 20 rows of chairs. I thought it was the stupidest spot. It was so stupid. But it was cool. Like, it was cool because you don't ever seen that. You've never seen that before.
Yeah.
John Cena never ran Randy Orton through 20 rows of the front row, 20 ringside rows. But, yeah, man, it was.
I felt bad for Kushida because he's got to sell, like, taking a minor bump off a chair, like, while you're on a cart.
Talk about Suzuki gun again. I felt bad for the young Lions who had to shield the patrons from Desperado ramming Kushida into their ankles with this cart, and flying folding chairs everywhere. This was nuts, man. And again, like, respect for stipulations. Like, at what point is there a disqualification?
Well, because you even saw, I believe it was Red Shoes was the ref, and he like came out into the crowd and was like, all right, guys, break it up. Like, he had to like make an excuse why he wasn't doing the counting. Like,
now, I was going to say, now, does that break up the count as well? Is he keeping it going in his head? Like,
yeah, he's doing like Marcus of Queensberry's rule. He's out there like, yo, come on, guys, let's be respectful. Let's take it back in the ring. And then you got Desperado was working the knee, like he did a stretch muffler while they're on the ground.
That was really good, man. He did a good job of picking a body part and working a hold, kid. Like that was really on display in this match with Desperado.
And in the course of the match, you had Desperado. He removed he pulled the old Yano Toru and removed the turnbuckle pad. And then he was also ripping up the pads off the cement on the outside, on the around the apron of the ring. But basically, so Desperado removed the turnbuckle pad, and then he ended up taking a turn. Like Kushida dropped toe holded him, like face first into the exposed turnbuckle, and Kushida hits his Back to the Future. Basically. The Back to the Future, the way I describe it is kind of like a small package driver, kind of like he jumps up in the air and kind of grabs you into a small package and just slams you down and then gets the pin that way.
Was Desperado biting Kushida's fingers at one point in this match?
Oh, I don't know if I saw that one.
I believe there was a spot where he was biting his fingers at one point.
He was doing a lot of cheating, I'll tell him that much. I mean, it was any kind of cheating he could do.
And there was a nasty arm drag spot over the ring post on the outside that was just gnarly, man. Like, I don't know why they tried to take moves like that. That's just unnecessary.
So that was the main event of night 10. And that leaves us a point standing of Kushida having 3 wins, 2 losses. That's 6 points. Desperado's at 2 wins, 3 losses. That's 4 points. So that was your main event of night 10. And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to just go over the block. So basically we went through nights 8, 9, and 10. Today, earlier this morning, they put up night 11. We didn't have a chance to watch those and go over that. So night 11 already has happened. We're not going to go over the actual results of night 11, but what we're going to do is go over the block standings of through night 11, because the next time we record, we'll be recording after the finals, or I believe after the finals. So basically we're just going to kind of show you where you're standing as you go into the last 2 nights of the June 3rd and June 4th, which will be shown live with English commentary on NJPW World. So the block standings through night 11, Block A, Taiji Ishimori's at 8 points, Will Ospreay also at 8 points. Then you have Yo, Bushi, and Flip Gordon. Also Tiger Mask. So those 4 competitors all have 6 points apiece. And at the bottom of the block is Kanemaru and ACH. So it looks like Kanemaru and ACH have both been mathematically eliminated from the tournament. How are you feeling about Block A right now, Tony?
Well, the 2 guys that I expected to jump out to the top are at the top, and I'm kind of glad to see Kanemaru down there in the bottom. But they're mathematically eliminated, but they're still going to have matches, so they could ruin somebody else's day. So we'll see how that goes. But I thought Bone Soldier and Ospreay would both fare well in this, so them being on top is not surprising to me. So
the way I look at it, I kind of feel like now looking at it, I feel like Ospreay is going to win the tournament. I mean, there's a lot of stuff not the tournament, the Block A. There's a lot of stuff that could happen with those 2 guys at 8, and then you got those 4 guys at 6. If they lose and those guys win, and there's tiebreakers and all that nonsense, and I don't know the exact math. We sort of waiting for that to come back from NASA. But basically, I'm still not expecting Ishimori to win the block, since he already pinned the champion and got his win over the champion. But he is a brand new character, and they're trying to push the Bone Soldier character, and he's got a brand new shirt. They've already got a Bone Soldier Bullet Club shirt coming out, so maybe Ishimori picks it up. But me personally, I think now I got to lean Ospreay, because if Ospreay wins Block A, then he loses whoever wins Block B.
But let's now go look. Easy way to transition. Let's look at that B block though, because I kind of think Dragon Lee's going to win that B block, and if he's going to win the B block and he's going to get that title shot at Ospreay, does he get 2 matches against Ospreay then? Because he's got to wrestle him in the finals of this and then the title shot as well?
That's a good question. But like I said, so I picked Bushi. Bushi's right there at 6. So if Ospreay Nishimori loses and Bushi wins, maybe Bushi can get into it.
But I'm thinking even Flip. They've been making Flip look pretty good here. You know, he's picked up some wins over some big guys. So
I mean, it could happen. They definitely have been pushing him. But yeah, and our boy Tiger Mask, he's still right there. I mean, I could go for some old man Tiger Mask kicking some shit in the finals. But let's move on to Block B now, and the Block B standings are a little more murky than the Block A standings. So Block B, you have 4 people tied at the top: Dragon Lee, Hiromu, Kushida, and Marty Scurll, all with 6 points apiece. And then at the bottom of the block, you got Chris Sabin, Desperado, Taguchi, and Sho with 4 points apiece. So this is anyone's block right now. I mean, definitely you're assuming it's going to be one of these guys with the 6 points. Hiromu has been a favorite. Dragon Lee, I would love to see Dragon Lee win this thing. I would love to see, to them say, hey, man, we locked Dragon Lee up for a year or 2 years, whatever, and he's a permanent, fixture in New Japan. And you have the junior ace Kushida right there, and Marty Scurll. I mean, those are 4 heavy hitters at the top of the B block. Who are you looking at? Who are you thinking now, Tony?
I think Dragon Lee, but Takahashi's had a great showing in this tournament too. So it's really a little bit muddier water over here in the B block. But I feel like the Takahashi and Dragon Lee have, just in their performances, have really stood out. Marty Scurll right under them, maybe the top 3 right there, or 1A and B, and then number 2 with Scurll. But yeah, I got to go with Dragon Lee or Takahashi, man. The rest of these guys will kind of fill it in, like you said, fill out the math and whatever. But it's going to come down to those 2 guys. And then, Takahashi against Ospreay is going to be good too, man. That would be really good as well. So I'm just excited for the final to see kind of who's going to make a move late.
And I could also see Kushida winning the B block to put over whoever wins the A block. Like, you have the junior ace putting over the new guy, maybe Ishimori or somebody. Yeah. But so far the action isn't great. I think we're going to have a really hot finish of this tournament. I mean, I think that's about it. I mean, you have any other thoughts as we stand on the best of the Super Juniors, Tony?
No, I'm just I'm ready for this thing to wrap up. Excited to see where it's going to go and into Dominion, and I'm just really enjoying this thing, man. I hope everybody else out there is too.
So that about wraps it up for another edition of Radio Strong Style. Tony, did you have any parting words for the lovely people?
Just follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Tony Tiger Mask with capital T's. Shoot me a message. See everybody next time.
Yeah, and as always, you can follow us on Twitter at @RStrongStyle. That's the letter R and the words Strong Style. On Instagram at Radio Strong Style. And you can email us questions, comments, drink recipes, love letters, fan fiction, what have you, to radiostrongstyle@gmail.com. And you can also now check us out on YouTube. We will be posting each episode on YouTube, so you can check us out there if you'd like. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for listening tonight. I'd like to thank you for being such a good-looking audience. And we now bid you good night and leave you with the words of the warrior poet Satoshi Kojima. Good morning. Breakfast is bread. What is breakfast in your country? I am Japanese, but I only eat bread. That's why it's a bread club. This was Radio Strong Style. Don't forget to tip your waitress.